What's up, everybody? This is Iron Trek 96 here, bringing you guys another figure review. So today we're going to be taking a look at the Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End Captain Jack Sparrow figure by Zizzle. So to start things off, this is the at World's End version of Captain Jack Sparrow. This specific figure is the one that came with the shrunken head, as you can see right here. So not to get it confused with the previously released version of this figure from Dead Man's Chest, like this one right here. So these two figures side by side, I mean, they are pretty much very similar at first glance, but after actually looking at their details and added articulation and stuff, obviously they're completely different toy. As you can see side by side between these two figures, if I get the camera to focus, yeah, the newer one, well, the at World's End one, it has a, I guess you can say, Johnny Depp look, when this one right here looks a little bit more on the skinnier side. I mean, yeah, I mean, overall, it's a small improvement. I mean, not too major of an improvement, but yeah, I mean, they improved upon the head sculpt, definitely. For the details on this guy, though, let's go ahead and take a closer look. As you guys saw already, yeah, that's the head sculpt right there. It's really nice for what it is, a 3 3/4 inch scaled figure. The overall outfit on this guy, the attention to detail that Zizzle would put into these action figures back in the day, it's really amazing. It's unfortunate that that toy company went out of business, because yeah, I just don't see what they could have been doing wrong. I mean, these figures were great, and the articulation obviously wasn't the best, but ultimately the figure in and of itself was a good representation of their on-screen counterparts. Take a look at all the painted in detail. It's amazing to think that back in 2006, 2007, when they were making these figures, they were going above and beyond in making sure that they added all this attention, that, you know, that they got all this down the way that they did. I mean, look at all that. Even the rings were also painted in and added not just one but two different colors to like, you know, give it that little gem on there. Same thing on this side. He does have the little ring detail there and stuff like that. For those of you guys that are wondering what the difference between this figure and the previously released Dead Man's Chest figure is, aside from obviously the head sculpt, there is a bit of a difference. I mean, aside from the way that the overall cloak or coat is molded on Dead Man's Chest version here, it's definitely a difference, and obviously it's got more painted in details on this guy, and it's split right here when the Dead Man's Chest version doesn't have that. For the lower body here, obviously the belts are very similar, but this scarf right here, waist scarf or whatever, it's molded a bit differently. On the Dead Man's Chest, it's a bit more of a harder plastic, while at World's End, it's more of a rubbery feel to that plastic. The sword bandolier sheath thing right here is pretty much the exact same. From the waist up, it looks like it's the same figure up here underneath the coat. The legs are pretty much different because the at World's End version does have an extra point of articulation that the Dead Man's Chest doesn't. So, which brings me on to my next point. So for the articulation, obviously it's not going to give you a lot, because back then with these Zizzle figures, they would either give you some figures that would have more than others, or like some that had less. Yeah, his hat is removable. So yeah, it's on that simple peg joint, so it's just a swivel. The rotation is 360 on the arms. Bend at the elbow, that's it. For both the arms is the exact same thing. The waist does have a swivel there, so that's good, and the legs do kick out like so you can't get him to sit down, and it has a bend at the knee. So when compared to the Dead Man's Chest version of this figure, basically it's the same for the head, same for the arms, same for the waist. If I get it to rotate. And as for the legs, you just have the kicking movement right there. You don't have any movement at the knees, so that's the difference right there. But yeah, that's it for the articulation. Accessories that come with this figure, it does come with like a shrunken head. It's something that I didn't really hold on to as a kid. It creeped me out. So yeah, he does come with this sword, of course. You can't have a pirate figure without a sword, and his flintlock, which sits nicely right there. The only thing that I have a problem with when it comes to this is that over time, from just sitting there, the gun does tend to warp like that. So that's the only downside. But still, for the most part, I'm gonna keep this blade on my shelf just like that. Unfortunately for the sword, you can't get it to go into the sheath, because that's the same problem the Dead Man's Chest figure had, because they're pretty much reusing the exact same piece right here for this guy. Yeah, they unfortunately didn't allow you to stick the sword in there. So for the most part, all I would do is just have the figure hold it, or I would swap it out with some other figures of the toy line that actually had the ability to put the sword in their sheaths. So yeah, I mean, I would make it work somehow. For a size comparison of this figure, just so you guys get the idea as to how many Jack Sparrows there actually were throughout Dead Man's Chest and at World's End. And keep in mind, this is not all the Jack Sparrow figures that Zizzle released during that time. But still, just so you guys get the general idea as to how many different versions of the same character this toy company made. From, like, say, the Pelagostus Chief Jack Sparrow right there with all the thumbs on his neck, to this other version of the exact same figure with a lighter color on the shirt, which is more of a white, and this one's more of a yellow. This one has a golden painted encompass, while this one has just a silver. This version right here of Jack Sparrow has the shrunken head right there. I guess, you know, something that these other figures didn't have. This one doesn't have his belt, and this one is the cursed skeleton version of Captain Jack Sparrow. There's a Dead Man's Chest version that we were comparing this one to earlier. There's another at World's End right there with the removable coat. Basically, that's just so you guys get the general idea. That's what he would look like compared to other Jack Sparrows from the same toy line. Here we also have a look at these other figures by Zizzle from the same toy line, just so you guys get the general idea on what he'd look like when compared to his fellow co-stars. For those of you guys that are curious as to what this 3 3/4 inch Captain Jack Sparrow by Zizzle would look like when compared to that more of a 4-inch scale Captain Jack Sparrow figure by Jack Pacific from On Stranger Tides. And for the final size comparison for Capitan Jack Sparrow here, here we have him next to a few other similarly scaled figures from different toy lines, as well as a couple of Transformers. So for my final thoughts on this figure, I mean, what else can I say? These figures that were put out back in the day by Zizzle were just ahead of their time, honestly, especially when it came to the amount of attention to detail that they would put into them, the careful paint jobs, the play value that they would have, even the play sets they'd release, the accessories that would come with these figures. Ultimately, these figures were really well done back in the day. It's just such a shame that a company that was really good at doing what they did when it came to making toys went under. But yeah, aside from that, this is not a very expensive toy line to collect, as it is right now, as of 2024 January. Last I checked, you could still pick these guys up for a fairly cheap price on eBay. Obviously, you're not going to get them brand new in the store, because these guys are pushing almost 20 years old. So yeah, your best bet is obviously the aftermarket, like say eBay and flea markets or toy shows and stuff like that. But yeah, these are definitely on the less expensive side. If you guys are trying to get into collecting Pirates of the Caribbean 3 3/4 inch figures, they're definitely worth it. The playsets are just amazing. Granted, there are some playsets like the Black Pearl that are going to run you quite a bit, especially if you're trying to get them brand new. But at the end of the day, though, they're really good action figures, and I highly recommend picking them up. If you guys enjoyed the video, by the way, go ahead and feel free to leave a thumbs up. And also, feel free to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. It will also help you guys stay in the loop when it comes to me dropping new videos in the future. But yeah, that being said, this is Iron Trek 96 saying don't forget to subscribe, and thanks for watching.